you might be sitting in your seats right now and wondering, how can I be the change? Well, the answer is simple. Just look around you. You are surrounded by support. Inspiration and motivation can come from absolutely anyone. 3 years ago, a friend of mine inspired me, and together we rallied on a group of students and we started a Free the Children group called Tumaini. Tumaini means hope in Swahili, and just like you, we had hope that we could create change. Now there are only 4 of us, and we dreamed big, so we set out to build a school in Kenya. We started small with things like bake sales and bottle drives, and at first we weren't sure if we would be able to reach our goal. But $10 turned into $100, and $100 turned into $1,000, and in just 1 year, we were able to raise over $10,000 to build that school.
I'm going to power an entire city with Mother Nature.
My wish is that we start now.
That we can all show the world
that we didn't wait.
My wish
is that we start making a difference today. Today. Show us how you're going to make your wish come true by joining the NMAX Energy Challenge
at facebook.com/
generatechoice.
Because your wish
has the power to change the future.
The exact opposite of what you see on TV. It's amazing to think that what we did keeps contributing to their lives, it keeps contributing to their dreams. You know, it's just a ripple effect that's never going to stop. It changes you so much. And we realize that half of the part of the trip is your personal change.
And I felt like I could make a difference, and I felt unstoppable.
You don't need to be the most popular kid. You don't need to be the richest kid. You need to be a kid that wants the difference and wants to change. And anybody can be that kid.
And that's you, Miss P.
A teacher affects eternity. You can never tell where his influence stops.
Although school can be tough, you've been there for me through thick and thin. Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez. Your support means the world to me.
A teacher is our guidance and support, who helps to lead us on the right path and stops us from straying.
Without you, we would have been lost. Thank you, teacher, for guiding us, inspiring us, and making us what we are today.
I may not always say it, but when I do, I mean it. Thank you, Mrs. Sefto, for all the things you have done for us. A teacher is an artist who helps to paint our hopes and dreams into existence.
Teaching is the profession that teaches all other professions.
A teacher is someone you can turn to when you need help. And Miss Liggins, you have always been there.
All it takes is one teacher to connect with a child, and his life may never be the same again.
I wish that we could thank our teachers each and every day because you are all in the government.
Teachers are the engineers of our future.
Teaching is the greatest act of optimism.
A teacher takes the hand that opens the mind and touches the heart.
Teacher. Talented.
Encouraging.
Awesome.
Creative.
Helpful.
Enriching lives.
Role model.
If you can imagine, even the governor of Arkansas called out the National Guard to keep the students out of school. Those 9 students in a school of 1,800, their classmates were against them, their town was against them, even their governor was against them. They were a tiny group, surrounded by hostility and hatred. They were jeered, pushed, and mocked. It was only when the President of the United States called to the army that they were even allowed to step foot in the school, and every day thereafter, they walked through those hallways with their head held high, pretending to ignore the whispers and the jeers. But despite those whispers, and despite the glares, despite those jeers, one student earned a screen, became the first African-American student to graduate from Little Rock Central High, earned a screen in civil rights history. And that was a different time, but to this day, people are mocked for their belief. Half my class, it was a very small percentage of my school, about 300 students at the time. That was about 4% of my school population. At the beginning, we were the few and we felt very alone. But big change always starts with those small groups. What started as 12-year-olds has now grown to the world's largest network of children helping children. What started with 5,000 students at We Day now has 100,000 young people active across the country. My friends, this is the line. Come on, it's you. Most people wait for others to fix the world's problems, but you are the few. You are the few of your generation. You are the few in this arena who will do more action for social change than most people ever will. The few like Gracie Brain, who joins us from Airdrie, who traveled all the way to Vancouver last year for We Day and is now in charge of the club in her school. They've created many fundraisers at Nose Creek Elementary, and together they've raised $8,500 to adopt a village. Thank you so much for being here. This is the law of the few. Now you can say, who might change the world? We say, who are you not to? Remember, Gandhi said, be the change. Not wait for the change, not follow the change, be the change. You may be the few, but you are not small. You are not silent. We know you're the most passionate, the most dedicated, and the loudest. Believes that everyone should have a home to live in, basic shelter. Please stand. Every woman here who believes that every child deserves the right to an education around the world, please proudly stand. Every woman here who believes in a world without war, please stand and make some noise. Now, I would like all the women here to please quietly sit down because your voice doesn't count. I'm getting booze on that one. Hold the booze for a second. Just 1 second. Imagine this 1914, at a time when women didn't yet have the vote, at a time when women had very little voice in society. In fact, this was a time where women were not even people in Canada. In 1914, only a man was legally a person in our country, and with that had the full rights and privileges. But one woman refused to recognize the status quo. One woman named Nellie McClung. She fought to get rid of the vote. Women, they don't want to vote. He said women were feeble-minded and weak. He said a vote for a woman was a vote wasted. He said to give up, go home, and to know your place. But instead of cowering, Nellie McClung organized protests and rallies, and for 20 years she fought to get women the right to vote. 20 years of sacrifice. Thanks to Nellie McClung, courts decided that women are indeed people. Thanks to Nellie McClung, women have a voice in this country, something I'm sure you're pretty from Canada to the world, because clean water is everything. Clean water lowers the rate of infant mortality, saving lives. It ensures children, especially girls, get a chance to go to school. We need to find that will. We need to find the will to keep and reach that goal to help the Kenya mamas who handmade those special water fikis. And by purchasing one, somebody gets water for an entire year. We need to find the will which we create change. Just $25 in pennies provide someone clean water for the rest of their lives. Now, we've told you about the law of the few and the law of the will. Those are captured in the iconic words of Margaret Mead when she said, never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens will change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has. When you hold passion to your beliefs, when you hold strong, when you recruit others, they will join you, and that is the final law, the law of we. Nellie McClung rallied 40,000 supporters. Gandhi grew crowds of hundreds of thousands. They were the few of the instigators, and they had their small groups grow into huge movements. But there were years, long journeys. It was 20 years before anyone paid attention to Nellie McClung. Gandhi walked for years, village to village, recruiting only a few hundred people at a time. Today, one click of a button, one YouTube video, one post, and you have the means to get a message to thousands, even hundreds of thousands of people.
Everything that you do, this is something like nothing else. And to be able to hear Mark and Craig talk about wonderful people that have inspired communities, who stood for principles and knew that it was right to stand up for vulnerable people, is something that brings a tear to my eye, and I am so excited to be able to share that passion with you today. Thank you for everything that you do. To meet the Aga Khan for the first time. That's a fantastic man who around the world and who understands, just like you do, that everything we do in our communities, in our schools, has an impact around the world. And when we think about the world and we think about vulnerable people who need to have access to health care and to education and to clean water, and to know that you all care so much about that and have already been committed to making a change in the world this past year and this year of action coming up, I just can't think of any group of people that I could be prouder of right now. So thank you for being such great partners. And I'll tell you that in this province, your voice matters. Your voice matters because you care about your community and you care about your future. And that rule about the law of the few is what's going to make sure that we keep taking care of people and we keep speaking out, defending people that need help, talking about human rights and making sure that we're proud of where we live and what we can do to make a contribution in every community in this province, in this country, and around the world.